All right, here's the headline for today. This actually was all over the news yesterday. This is not old news and it's not new news. There's just movement in this particular story. So, hey, everybody, Fran Harris is, Women's Basketball TV. If you're new here, I played in the WNBA in the first two seasons, 1997 with the WNBA champions Houston Comets, and I played the second season for Utah, the Utah Stars, before going into broadcasting and consulting with some of the teams and those kinds of things. So I've been around the league for its entire existence. And what I will say as I jump into this story hot off the wire is that these are the problems. And when I say problems, the issues, the realities of running a business. So this could very well be you. This could very well be a company you care about. This could very well be a person you care about. So I'm just asking that we all keep that in mind. I am not an attorney, nor do I aspire to be an attorney, nor do I play one on television. Nothing. I am none of that. I have no legal background, but we all, as I know, have opinions about things. So I'm going to speak purely from a journalist standpoint. I'm not speaking from a former W player. I'm not speaking for a current announcer for the Dallas Wings. I'm not speaking for a current person who speaks on television all the time about the WNBA. I don't have a dog in this fight. I want justice. I want people to do the right thing. And I want them to do the right thing from both sides. But I'm just going to go through this and then you form your own opinion, as I know you will, but I want to give a couple of different perspectives. And even when I give my perspective, I am not in the stands for that particular side of the story. I'm just sharing what popped up for me as I read some of this. So I'm going to go right off of Yahoo News, and then I'll add a little commentary, and then I'll piece it out. All right, WNBA champion from Georgia says former team league discriminated against her for being pregnant. Now, again, I am not an attorney, but let's look at that headline. WNBA champion from Georgia says former team league discriminated against her for being pregnant. And so the first thing I see when I see that, again, I'm not an attorney and I've never played one, but I am a linguist and I am a person who breaks down language and those kinds of things and what's being said and what's not being said and some of the things that you can infer from something just by reading it and looking at the words. So my first question becomes, did the league discriminate against her for being pregnant, for not telling them that she was pregnant, or for something else, right? There's what people say, and then there's what the actual truth is, right? And only two people really know what the truth is, and that is Dearica and the Las Vegas Aces. Dearica's agents and attorneys don't necessarily know what the truth is. I'm just going to keep it a buck, y'all. It's Dearica knows and the Aces know. And now it's a matter of which side is going to convince the legal system that their side of the story is what really happened. Let me repeat that. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. You don't know what happened. You weren't there. The only two parties who know what really happened is Dearica and the Las Vegas Aces. And so when I read all this conjecture and stuff online, I'm just like, it's hard for me to read, because absolutely under no circumstances should an employee be discriminated against for being pregnant. There is absolutely no reason that should happen. So let me just say that. And at the same time, there is no reason that the league should stand by a policy, if it's in place, that would in any shape, form, or fashion be discriminatory against women who are mothers, right? So only two people who know what happened, Dearica and the Aces. Not even the league knows. I need us to hone in on what I just said and keep that in your forefront, in your view, as you're making your decision and your opinion about what you want to believe. Only two sides. Dearica knows when she shared that information. The Aces know when they shared that information. The Aces know what their motive was. Did the Aces get angry because she was pregnant? Did the Aces get angry because they perceived she wasn't telling them the truth about the timing of when she knew that? Only two people know that. Only two sides know it. All right, I'm just going to put that out there. A WNBA All-Star and Olympic medalist from Metro Atlanta has filed a federal discrimination lawsuit against the league and her former team. Los Angeles Sparks forward Dearica Hamby, who grew up in Marietta and Norcross, says she was treated unfairly and traded from the Las Vegas Aces to the Sparks because she was pregnant. Hamby played for the Aces from 2015 to 2022. That's a long time to be with your fam. That is a long time to be there. Winning a championship with the Aces during what will become her final season with the franchise. But Hamby and her attorney claimed they were repeated acts of intimidation, discrimination, and retaliation from the Aces after Hamby announced her pregnancy during the championship parade. The lawsuit says Hamby signed a contract extension with the Aces in July 2022 and later learned around July 18th that she was expecting her second child. The lawsuit says Hamby informed her coaches about her pregnancy in August and completed the rest of the championship season. Pause. Let's press the pause button right here. There has to be something, there has to be a class, there has to be some consultation, there has to be some kind of discussion with employees, because I'm just going to say employees. But because basketball has for so long been portrayed as this, oh, we're this family, and we got each other's backs, and it's not necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so, as the song goes. So there has to be some kind of consultation with athletes in particular, because the environment of a sports team, candidly, y'all, is very different than, say, when I worked for Procter & Gamble, or when you work for Apple, or when you work for your school. Like, it's as much as we want to feel comfortable and to feel like it's a family and these are my girls and these are my boys or whatever, it is a company. And I think in sports, a lot that gets lost, especially when something happens that's not cool. It is so, and I'll speak from experience, it is so disconcerting and it is so wild when you are in a cool situation, your family's, it's feeling really good, y'all winning championships, and then something happens that, like for me, because when I was in the WNBA, I'd worked for Procter & Gamble. I was 30, so I was a little bit older than some of the newer players, the rookies, and the younger players, and I knew when things were wrong from a standpoint of a company, and it was always so awkward to go, wait a minute, that wasn't cool. That wasn't right. That wasn't right at all. But then you're like, well, do I say something? Well, if I don't say something, well, I mean, I know from a company standpoint that is inappropriate, but from this standpoint, maybe it's not. So I know that that's a part of why Dearica just went and told her coaches. So the first thing I think is, like, I wouldn't have gone to tell those coaches anything. I wouldn't have. I would have done the proper channels, HR, somebody there with me, somebody there recording, and I don't mean necessarily recording with an audio or video. I mean somebody taking notes, if we can't record it, if somebody taking notes or whatever, so that we are on record for what I'm about to share. And I wasn't there, but I'm pretty sure, based on what I just described with y'all about the family and the company versus the company, I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. I'm pretty sure that did happen, because you don't think like that when you're on the sports team. You don't. And so as I look at this, I'm cringing at the whole thing, because I don't want anybody to be discriminated against. I know these women have fought for the rights that they have. I know that we fought for the rights that they have. And it should be done right. It should be done the right way. But as I read through some of this, I'm like, yeah, this was people. And on both sides, by the way. Please hear me. It was on both sides, by the way. Some things just should have been in a very corporate structure and recorded and what do you call it when you're writing down, like you're measuring all of that should have been done a different way, because there's a lot of he said, she said, we said, they said, when we said, there's a lot of that happening right now, which tells me that it continues to be the same, it continues to be the same thing. We're kind of just casually sharing, I'm this, I'm that, I'm in this situation, whatever. And it should not have gone down that way. But that's my sidebar, because I'm giving you guys the raw response as I read this article to you. All right, so Hamby played for the Aces. We talked about that. The lawsuit says Hamby signed a contract extension with the Aces in July 2022, and later learned around July 18th she was pregnant, expecting her second child. The lawsuit says Hamby informed her coaches about her pregnancy in August and completed the rest of the championship season. Over the next several months, the lawsuit stated that Hamby experienced notable changes in the way she was treated, with certain family benefits in her contract extension not being honored. In January 2023, Hamby's attorney says she had a phone call with Aces head coach Becky Hammond, who was accused of telling Hamby that she didn't do enough to not get pregnant. Okay. Again, was this conversation recorded by any kind of technology? Was it? Because when you start suing people, there's what if I say to you, you didn't do enough to not get pregnant. You may hear one thing and somebody else may hear something different. So unless these interactions and encounters are being recorded, and even when they're recorded, we all have our interpretation of what something means when we hear it from someone. Again, I am not an attorney. I do not play one. I've never played one in a movie or TV show. I'm just telling you how my mind thinks. And the reality is when you guys sometimes will listen to my videos and some of you hear one thing and some of you hear something else because we're different. We have different interpretive skills and background. Doesn't mean you're right and I'm wrong or I'm right and you're wrong. We are different. And so when I read this stuff, I'm like, well, did they make it clear? Did they make it plain? And the reality is when you feel like you are being treated differently, nobody can tell you that what you're feeling is wrong. Now, the way you're feeling may not be based on what you think it's based on. I've certainly had that experience, but you can't tell me how I feel. Let me repeat that. We all have had this experience. Please raise your hand if you've been listening to someone and then you felt some kind of way. Now, you thought they were saying one thing and they said they were saying something else, but you still felt that way. So this isn't black and white. My whole point, this isn't black and white. This suit is not black and white. And unfortunately, we may never know the truth. We may never know what happened, when it happened, how it happened, to the extent that it happened. We may never know. We will likely never know. But what I do hope and pray happens is that justice is served. 100%. And it's very difficult sometimes for justice to be served because when attorneys get involved, attorneys are fighting for their clients on both sides, right? The Aces, gonna be fighting for their position. Dearica's side's gonna be fighting for her position. And it literally is almost always by any means necessary. It's not about what you believe. It's not about what you think. It's about what you can prove. Anyway, these are the growing pains of a league. These are the growing pains of a company. I hope that both sides can come to the table and do the right thing because there is a right thing. And I don't know what it is because we may not even have all the facts. Even as I read this article, we may not even have all the facts, but I do hope and pray that the right thing happens. I do hope and pray that both sides learn something and do something different. I do hope and pray that women in our league stand by the right thing, the rights that they have as women, whether they're pregnant, whether they can bear children or not. That's not the point. We have to make sure that we have the right rights, the correct rights lined up, that we are taking care of those rights, whether they're employment rights, pregnancy, marital, LGBTQ plus, whatever they are, employee rights. The league needs to take notice also of better employment policies, healthier rules. When I say rules, I mean healthier guidelines that are going to take care of their employees. There is a right thing to do here. And I pray and hope that it gets done. We'll see you guys in the next one. What do y'all think? What do you think about what has been said and written about this lawsuit? And more importantly, how could it have been avoided? Should it have been avoided? Or did we need this to get better? Sometimes you need things to happen to get better. We'll see you guys in the next one.